As you're coming up in graffiti, does anyone teach you how to write or help you improve?
Not really. I just everything I learned, like kind of just watching what everyone else was doing on the street.
Do you practice at home on black books? Is your practice routine on the streets and testing things out? How do you practice to get better?
Like my tags, I would practice at home, like on paper. But like when I would go painting or like bombing, I would just practice like on the yard or the street, wherever I'm going.
Going back to your early school days, do you remember any fights you got into at John Muir?
At John Muir?
Yes.
Yeah, a couple of them.
Were these fights because of graffiti?
Nah,
personal stuff?
Just personal stuff. Just someone looking at me the wrong way or rubbing me the wrong way.
Now, this era of the mid-90s as you're coming up were kind of the dying days of the tag banging era. Your crews that you were in, would you consider them as tag banging crews?
Kind of, but we're all little kids. We're like 11, 12 years old. Like we weren't really doing much. Just tagging within school. That was about it.
How would you dress back then? What was the style? We hear that back then crews had their names on their hats, their names on their belt buckles. Were you part of that era?
No, I wasn't. I didn't do that. But I would dress like kind of like a gangbanger. Like I had solos, big pants, flannels, stuff like that.
Would you also shave your head? That was pretty big back then.
Back then in 6th grade, I had long hair, and then but like in high school, I started shaving my head.
Now back to the tag banging. How would you define tag banging? You said you were little kids, but
yeah.
Kind of tag bang. Why do you say that you guys were up and coming kind of tag bangers?
Because it wasn't really about graffiti. It was about about writing, but more about like just the beef, just trying to fight or stuff like that.
In those days, you mentioned writers were getting jumped into crews.
Yeah.
What was the process? Did you get jumped into your crews? Do they jump you in for 13 seconds? Do multiple people jump you in? What happens?
I think there was only one crew, that crew YBD, but I don't know how many seconds. It was a few seconds, and it's just like that was their way of getting someone in.
YBD, that was your brother's crew, correct?
Yeah, I think it was someone else's, but like they took off to high school, and then he took over and continued it. And yeah,
why does your brother's crew jump you in, but the other two crews you joined let you in?
In high school?
Yeah, in junior high. TOK and...
No, TOK is from high school.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, it's high school, yeah.
I see. Now, how was beef settled back then in those tag banging eras? Would you jump people? Would you fight one-on-one? Or would you battle other crews? Do you remember that?
Like again, like for the junior high, it was like within school. So like if you have beef with someone, you just get down with them. You'll be slashing them in school. Like I wouldn't see no one really up outside of school, maybe around like just the perimeter of the school, but that's about it.
Would writers carry weapons in those days?
Yeah, they would, yeah.
What kind of weapons? Can you name a few?
All I see was like knives, maybe like little bats and stuff like that.
Do you ever get a gun pulled out on you in those days? Can you talk about that? Yes. During the tag banging era in general?
In junior high, like I was like 12 years old, but it was in Boyle Heights. I was on the street though. I was catching spots. Like I would leave it early in the morning. That's why before it was my favorite time to go, like early in the morning, like 3:30 in the morning. Take out from my house, and I was on the way back, and some dude fucking pulled a gun on me and robbed me. And I was like 12. This dude was older. I was like, damn, like he just.
What did he say to you?
He was asking for bus change at first, and I seen him, and then I passed him, and I keep walking, and then I see him again ahead of me. I was like, what the fuck? So I guess he put it in his car or something and went around the block, and then he jammed me up, and I guess I had my unis and they were like changing, and oh, let me get that change with his gun. I was like, fuck, like it's not changing shit. Like what is it? Like markers? Like, oh, you're a tagger and shit. I'm like, yup. And I fucking he took my markers and shit. I was like, fuck, that's all I had really and shit, the markers.
Man.
Yeah.